Welcome back to the channel where the art is always random and so am I. Today is your host Addis187. I'm doing a Narcos review for season 3. There will be spoilers. If you want no spoilers, go watch my previous video from a few weeks ago. And yeah, Narcos is one of my favorite shows. I love the camera work, I love the style, I love the vibe of the show. It has always high production value and the casting is great. It is very entertaining and aesthetically pleasing. If you haven't watched Narcos, I highly recommend it. But with that being said, Season 3 was kind of disappointing and really not it. I was looking forward to a lot of things and it was, a giant letdown, but it is what it is. It was still decent, it's still worth watching, but just disappointing. So yeah. So season 3, season 2, Felix gets arrested. He says there will be war since he is not around to keep the peace between the cartels. The beginning of the season 3 starts with Mario Carrillo flying a shipment and crashing in between deserts. The authority takes him in and is arrested and gets out a few months later, and you start going into different storylines since episode 1 basically. Alright, so here's some of them, quick recap, and then I'll just tell you some little details about each one. So in this season, you get to see El Chapo, his rise to power, but not really, because there's so many side stories going on. You get to see Benjamin and Arellanos, and you get to see Amado Carrillo working with Hank, a powerful Mexican lawyer. He launders money, he works with cartels. You get to see a crooked cop, you get to see a reporter. You basically get to see a season of storylines all put together. You also get to see DEA agent Hank running around looking for cartels and chasing some kid to get information. And you get to see a bunch of random things going all over the place, and it gets confusing. So let's get started. So let's start with the corrupt cops. So cops in Mexico would take briberies back in the day, doing illegal stuff, pulling people over, getting paid to get let go, and just, laundering money, doing side jobs, killing people, and so on. The cop here is paid by an old lady to investigate her daughter's disappearance. The cop slowly starts becoming obsessed with finding the killer and ends up risking his life working with the DEA to get information about the killer. So he basically goes out at night, asks people, questions people, looks for information, looks for details, and is basically a detective trying to find out who killed this lady's daughter. He slowly starts becoming obsessed and realizes that the killer didn't just kill that girl, he did it to so many other people, and it's a storyline based off of that. He joins his friends, he joins a cartel organization to get information and so on, and that's one of the many storylines. Okay, another one. You have a reporter for La Voz who is basically you have a reporter for La Voz. She is basically a young, old school reporter who will do anything to get the truth out, even risking her own life. While everyone's keeping things on the low, just putting out enough information to keep it interesting and keep people coming in, she's out here trying to do everything and anything to make sure the truth gets out. And in harm's way, she goes out, she talks to people, she investigates people, and slowly starts becoming more and more information about things, and getting more information, and eventually her storyline leads to something else, which involves a big turning point in the story. You have Amado Carrillo, who should have been the main focus of the whole story, not just one of them, but it is what it is. Anyways, you have Amado Carrillo growing his business empire after Felix was taken down. He replaces the empty gap left also by the Cali cartel, who surrendered to the government in shorter sentences as they were promised. He also falls in love, and you get to see him gain power and influence. Although he is on the cover poster, he doesn't show up enough. I really liked the actor, he was really good, he was a great character, but unfortunately didn't see him enough. He also meets Hank, the lawyer, who is corrupt and works with cartels, launders money for them and for himself. And like I said, he falls in love with some girl in Cuba. They start making the storyline mostly about that. Then also him having problems with other cartels. They try to kill him, he gets away, he vows vengeance against them, and he starts helping out other cartels grow power by giving them money and influence and stuff like that. You have the Arellano family, and just shows them doing their business empire, sees them being very what's the word I'm looking for? They do not care. There was a wedding going on, and the one guy interrupted them, and then they took him to the back, and then they killed him basically, and stuff like that. They show no mercy, and they will do whatever they can just to show that they have power and stuff like that. Then you show them rivaling with other cartels for trying to take their land. They try to basically the downfall of their business or whatever. Anyways, so you also have El Chapo, the most famous one of them all, because he is a modern day corruption legend, or whatever you want to call him. yeah, so you see him gaining power and influence with the Sinaloa cartel. You see them pull up, try to kill Benjamin Arellano, and you get to see him run away and try to escape the country, only to end up in jail after being ratted on, I think, but it was like Bolivia, like some of the people like ratted him out after he paid them, and he ended up getting arrested and just spent time in jail for like, I think it was storyline wise, well, not in actual Narcos, but in real life, I think he was there like 9 years, and then he ended up escaping after that. But that's not in the show. It's just like, it shows hints of it that lead up to that. But yeah, I think that's what happened in real life. He was there for like 9 years of prison, paid every single bribe off, and then he escapes. So yeah. Then we have DEA agent Hank and the one cartel guy's little brother have their own storyline going on as well. You get to see him try to get into the Arellanos by trying to get the little brother to give up his older brother. Then his older brother would eventually give up hiding spots, and then, you know, you get to the main bad guys. They end up taking the younger brother in, torturing him till he gives them something and cooperates with the Mexican authorities. And yeah, they torture him, and then he ends up becoming friends with the guy, and then he ends up escaping the DEA custody, and they end up going back to Mexico, and they find him hanging from the top of the thing because they killed him. So that's kind of a big spoiler, but it's kind of like, whatever. Okay, so yeah, let me see what else is going on. Think about it. So many things are happening at the same time, like I said, and it's hard to keep up and remember anything, because do you even really care at this point? That's the problem. I was hoping to see side stories as well, like they did in the previous seasons. And yeah, it's like, you had the main character before in previous seasons, you have the camera time, you learn a lot about them, you get to see them grow up, you get to see them learn, you get to see them go into the business. And although yes, Amado was slightly featured in previous seasons, and when you get to see him gain power there, you don't really feel like he's the main character and he's the main bad guy, because he's not. There's so many things going on at the same time that nobody's a main character. It's like everybody just having like clips put together into a timeline, and it goes from there. Amado was just there chilling, doing his business, being low-key, and his character didn't have enough development time to, like, for me to care. Yeah, he falls in love, but other than that, there's really not much else going on. I was hoping the whole season would be about him, but instead it was a cluster of just random things happening. Most storylines, although were based off true story, just traumatized things, changed and affected the story. It was just forced and boring, sort of like the cop story that was there to show innocent women being like murdered and stuff, which is to show awareness, which is very important, but at the same time, it could have been done in like half an episode, and it would have just done as much effect as it did then. Sort of like the news reporter girl. Yeah, she was main part of the whole storyline, everything added up at the end, and it made sense why it was there, but she didn't need as much screen time. They should have gave it to Amado Carrillo and maybe like El Chapo. And so yeah, so many different things are happening at the same time. I started losing track, jumping around with all the Narcos and everything else. I did feel the vibe of the show. I thought the camera work was on point, the action was on point. It was really, really good and entertaining. It had great castings like always. Every character felt like they belonged there. But I also felt Bad Bunny being thrown in there for no reason was pretty cool, and he just got shot and everything. But other than that, it was just like everything was cool, everything was good, high quality work. And I rate this show a 7 out of 10 for this season. And they said Netflix would cancel the show, and I'm hoping they bring it back in season 4, and they make El Chapo, and mostly about El Chapo with no side stories. And that's really it for this side story. Go watch the show, it's still worth watching. I didn't ruin everything, but I did basically tell you the main storylines with some spoilers here and there. But that's about it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. It is your host, Addis187, and I am